Hello, I'm Bob Allison, WB1GCM here at the Arrl Laboratory. You've been waiting a long time to see the IC-7851. Now here it is. Well, here it is, the Icom IC-7851. It's rather heavy and large, but it's heavy because it's a 200-watt transceiver and the power supply is built in. So an extra 3 dB gain on transmit will get you a little bit over the pileup. 2 receivers built in, and we have 20 meters selected and also 40 meters over here. You turn on the second receiver by pressing the dual watch button. Oh, it was on. There, it's on now. And the filter selection is up here. Press and hold. There's your filter selection for the main receiver. Here you can see how your filters are set, what the bandwidth is, the shaping, and also what roofing filter is selected. Press again. And it's rather large. Here's my 1-foot ruler here and here. So it's about 16 inches wide and about 1.5 feet deep and weighs a little over 50 pounds. So you have to make room on your desk for this transceiver. Now let's take a look at the back. There's a lot of connections to look at. Now here's the back side. The 7851 sports 4 antenna connections. Ground is over here. This is where you can hook up an external display, USB connections, fiber optic in and out, a LAN connection, AC power, and AC power on off back here, external speakers, more USB accessory ports over here. Here's your ALC and your relay connections. Remote meters, external keypads, key jack is over here, etc., etc. Look at this, RF in and out, loop through, transverters, receiver in and out, and a 10 megahertz reference in and out right here. If you're a contester or serious DXer, you'll be glad to know that the IC-7851 has lots of cooling, lots of ventilation to let all the heat out. Yes, the IC-7851 is rather pricey, but you get what you pay for, and that's high dynamic ranges. You want that if you're a serious contester or a DXer. I'm Bob Allison, WB1GCM here at the Arrl Laboratory.
That man is an absolute legend. Hello everybody, wherever you may be, around the world, it's Ham Radio Live. Please subscribe, we do not monetize here. You're not going to find any ads about dog food or, some kind of a medicine you need for your sore back or even some kind of supplement. No additives here on the show. We don't monetize it, so we just ask to subscribe that we can help other people find the channel right here on YouTube. We got a special show today. Going to be celebrating the life of Bob Allison, Arrl test engineer for many years. He's shown us a lot of radios, and we're really going to celebrate him today. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the show. My name's Larry. My call sign's Kilo 7 Hotel November here in Oregon. Welcome. Glad to see you. Thank you for coming. A special announcement came to me this week by email from Bob Allison over at Arrl. By the way, if you'd like to get into ham radio, we really want you to be in ham radio. We truly do. Contact the Arrl. It's easy to do so. I put a hyperlink on every show in the description center. Right there in the description section. I said center, sorry. Just click on the link. It'll get you directly to Arrl right there. They'll help you get into ham radio. They truly will. And one of the best parts, a little bit bright here, one of the best parts about that is that maybe there's not a ham radio club that's real close to you, right? But they'll help you find one. That's the most important part. So to get on the path to get yourself into amateur radio, please contact those folks right there at arrl.org. They'll connect you with a local radio club near you. Welcome to the show. I really appreciate you coming. Hello, William Myers and William 6, Juliet, India, Mike, with some good vibes coming into the show. Thanks for being here. Appreciate it. We got Will Myers in that special bike, Kilo Alpha 8, Golf India, Mike. Will, thank you for coming. Appreciate you being here. We're going to celebrate Mr. Arrl, really, on YouTube. Wow, think about it. All those years he's been doing this, right? Bob Allison. It's hard to imagine him not doing a review on a rig. We're going to also close the show with another review that Bob Allison did a long time ago when the Yaesu FT-450D released to help people determine, hey, is that the radio for me or not? Bob, we want to honor you and thank you with your service to amateur radio today. We're going to be doing a little bit on the extra exam today. We talked a little bit about the general, but we had some folks that wanted extra. We do extra Fridays here, so we'll try and see about helping you license up if we can. Before we do that, I do want to tell you a little bit about Bob Allison, a little bit of his bio. First licensed as Whiskey November 1, Tango Delta November back in 1974. He's been WB1GCM since 77. He's been a mentor, or better known as an Elmer, to many folks. He's a former television broadcast engineer for WVIT NBC Television in Connecticut from 79 to 2008 and became the Arrl Laboratory test engineer for QST product reviews way back 2008. Did that to April 11th of 2021. Wow. Imagine that. He's typically on 160 meters through 70 SEMS. His favorite mode, Morse code, loves CW. Favorite voice mode is AM. Bob's a traditionalist. He loves the old AM stuff. And his favorite bands are 160, 75, and 6 meters. He's got a lot of equipment in the shacks, of course. And if you'd like to reach him and say, congratulations on your retirement, Bob, really, because I thank you for all you've done, contact him on his QRZ email. You'll find him at ballison@arrl.org. That's ballison@arrl.org. Bill retires on April the 9th. So we'll have a little tribute at the end of the show to him. If you'd like to learn a little bit about a little bit of Morse code stuff, we're going to talk about a great keyer that came in from MFJ, as heavy as a tank and beautiful. Look at this. We'll talk about this at the 30-minute mark of today's show. Wanted to say quick welcomes to everybody. Stu Foster, Golf 7, Whiskey Alpha, Yankee, all the way from the UK. Welcome, Stu. Good to see you, my friend. Happy Friday evening to you. Great Lakes Reliance, all the way in Michigan. That's Rob, Kilo 8, India Bravo, X-Ray. Welcome to the show, my dear friend. Thanks for being here, Rob. Thank you. We're going to have DX calling tonight, CQ calling the DX edition of it this evening. Starts 10 p.m. Pacific. If you'd like to see some DX calls made in the South Pacific, maybe all the way into Australia, tune in tonight. If you're in North America, that's going to be at 10 p.m., okay? Convert it to your local time, 10 p.m. Pacific. We'll be live making calls on 40 meters through the States, through the South Pacific, and into Asia. So let's see if we can make a call with you this evening. First, let's try and get on the air. We'll see what we can do to hopefully help you get onto that extra exam. The extra exam, by the way, gives you everything. And mostly it gives you DX. A lot of DX is between 7.1 and 7.8 megahertz. Well, 7.1 to 7.2. The problem is, if you're a general, you can only transmit from 7.178 to 7.2 to catch it. So you've got a very small slice, only 23 kilohertz. Get the rest of it. Get your extra. It's not that hard to get. You might miss it a few times, but don't give up. You can do it. You can miss up to 13 questions. It's a 50 question exam. And there are plenty of places that you can help learn right now. Even with the coronavirus present in the U.S., go with an online course that is comfortable to you, that'll help you pass the test. We'll get you some questions right now to help you with the exam right now, and catch us at the 30-minute mark. We'll talk about the MFJ panel and make some QSOs, hopefully. Can never guarantee. First question on the extra. What's the effect of ringing in a filter? Ringing in a filter is typically found in a CW filter, okay? And it happens when you've got undesired oscillations added to the desired signal. Now, this is usually what happens when you narrow the filter too narrow. It's too narrow, so you're getting ringing in it. And sometimes it can happen from a station that's really close on frequency. Sometimes you just narrow the filter down too much. So usually happens on CW, and usually you can fix it by just widening the filter bandwidth just a little bit. Hello, Fred in Washington State. Welcome to the show. Good to see you. Next question today, Extra Fridays on Ham Radio Live. Trying to get you licensed up. Which of the following can divide the frequency of a pulse train by 2? This one's easy. I remembered this on the test because I thought of, this is going to sound dumb, but I remembered things in a different way to pass all 3 exams in one day. I thought of the old show Soul Train. I did. And I thought of flip-flops, like in the shoes they wore, but they were wearing like platform shoes. But I made sure to correlate flip-flop with pulse train. That was it. Simple. Pulse train, flip-flop. Now, is this something that a lot of people will do in ham radio? Get into this much theory of electronics? Possibly. But not everybody will. So, if you don't think you're going to be a person that's going to rip apart a radio or an amplifier and start playing schematic guy and get in there and start fixing and replacing things, well, you've got to pass the test because that's the rules. Remember, pulse train flip-flop, you'll have the answer. Next question, which of the following is a likely result when a Class C, very important, Class C, amplifier is used to amplify a single sideband phone signal? When you use a Class C amp, you're going to get signal distortion and you use excessive bandwidth, also known as splatter, okay? You don't want to do that. Don't use a Class C. Use a nice Class A or Class AB. You'll be fine on single sideband. Class C is not made to be used on sideband. Next question on the extra. What's a solid-state relay? This is a device uses just a semiconductor, which implements or copies the functions of a mechanical relay. Now, if you've ever seen an electrical mechanical relay, they're typically large plastic capped, and they have like we would think of almost like a point and condenser in it from like an old car, right? When the magnet pulls the relay up, it opens the circuit. When it stops, it closes. It closes the circuit. All the relay does is allows the circuit either to move or stop. That's all it does. In a semiconductor relay, there's no moving parts. That makes it really advantageous to any ham radio operator. The less moving parts you have on any electronic product, whether it be an antenna in your backyard or a rig or amplifier or tuner inside your shack, the better, because moving parts break. All right, look at this. Fozzie talks from the UK. That's Stu's son. Welcome, Fozzie. Nice to see you, buddy. Hey, happy Friday, pal. I hope school's going well for you. And Jim, you are so kind. That is a very nice comment. Thank you, Jim. I really want this show to mean something to the folks at Arrl and especially Bob Allison. I admire the work he's done, and I have listened to dozens of shows he's done when I looked at radios. He just does a great job. We'll finish the show with one of his great reviews, okay? Next question on the extra. Which of the following instruments would be best for measuring the SWR of a beam antenna? All right. Don't let this question throw you. It really has too many words in it. It does. The best way to describe this question in layman's terms is what instrument would be best for measuring SWR in any antenna? It's true. Whether it be a Yagi, a vertical, a dipole, it doesn't matter. It's always an antenna analyzer. Always. It doesn't matter if it's a beam. It doesn't. Don't let the part beam antenna throw you, because it doesn't mean it's going to be anything but an antenna analyzer. Antenna analyzers measure all antennas. They don't just measure some, they measure all. They check your SWR or standing wave ratio of your antenna to make sure that your radio will be happy using it. It's an impedance match. That's really all it is. Remember, SWR is measured with an antenna analyzer, also known as an impedance. All of a sudden my screen went full. Also known as an impedance machine, or not a machine, but an impedance device. Just tells you what the impedance is. Make sure that you've got a good impedance for your radio to be happy at 50 ohms. Okay? Next question on the extra in the US for the FCC. Again, this will give you gives you all of it. The full frequencies, whatever you want to work, wherever you want to work, as long as you work within the band plan. You now have the ability to do so by passing the extra. Here it is. What's the purpose of digital store and forward functions on amateur radio satellites? Now, this is so stinking cool. Let's say you have a satellite going over. You would like to send a message to, let's say, Russia, okay? You want to send a message to a ham in Russia that also follows the satellites. Maybe you'd like to ask how his family is. You can put his call sign, your call sign, like a CQ, then the message, okay, into the satellite. The satellite will store it. And then when it gets over Russia, your buddy can download your signal that you sent over, let's say, in California. That's all it is. When satellites are working and stored forward, what they do is they take your messages that you send to them digitally. They just keep orbiting the Earth. And then somebody that's waiting for the message picks it up on the other side of the world or somewhere else that maybe you can't contact right now. Satellites have such a great service in amateur radio. First started back in 1964 in Germany. True story. Next question. Which of the following is true about contest operating? Okay, this is honestly the truth. If you like contesting, you can log and you can try and get an award, right? But you don't have to log. You just can make contacts, which is fun. The answer is A. Operators are permitted to make contacts even if they do not submit a log, but still log it. It's just good too, because that way if the FCC comes knocking on your door wanting to find out about your activity at your station, you can show when you were on and when you weren't, if maybe one of your neighbors is complaining about RF issues in their home. So it's good to always log, but you're not required to submit a log, say, to the people who are running the contest. You don't have to do that. That's true with every contest. I don't know if you know that. That's the truth of every contest. All right. We'll be at 30 minutes with the FCC piece. With the MFJ piece. Just a sec. We'll get there. Next question's on the extra. This is pretty cool. What technology is used to track in real time balloons carrying amateur radio transmitters? And yes, they do exist. APRS. That is the coolest thing ever. This basically is a telemetry system. APRS, it'll show exactly where something is. Latitude, longitude, altitude, everything. It's sweet. It really is. You'll find these basically on 2 meter and 77 receiver transmitters. It's great stuff. They're just great. Automatic packet reporting system. Automatic packet reporting system. They're fantastic. You know, there's a radio I'm looking at right now that has all of that built in that I'd love to try just because it'd be fun. And it'd be neat to do it on show as well. So when you're talking about telemetry and you're talking about using to track things like balloons, just anything that's flying over the air, could be even satellites, APRS, there's your answer. Next question, what is vestigial sideband modulation? Okay, remember, sideband, okay, first let's break it to the very beginning. AM, amplitude modulation. In amplitude modulation, remember we've used the analogy of a bologna sandwich, right? The bologna is the carrier. The 2 pieces of bread are the sidebands, okay? So in typical sideband, you're going to remove the bologna and 1 side of bread. That's going to leave you with only 1 piece of bread. Okay, that's your sideband. Now in vestigial sideband modulation, what you get is amplitude modulation in which 1 complete sideband and a portion of the other are transmitted. So in vesicle sideband, think of it with the bologna sandwich. You get the bread, you get no carrier, but you get a little bit of the bread on the other side too. That's why it's called vesicle, okay? So you're not transmitting in normal sideband, you're getting a little bit of one side of the sideband, plus you're getting all of the other. It helps to improve fidelity. It helps make your signal sound better. That's vesicle single sideband. And that's the main reason for using it, because people want to, have better fidelity when they transmit their signal. It makes it kind of nice. So remember, vesicle single sideband, you get one sideband and a portion of the other. That's how that works. All right, next question. It is Extra Fridays on Ham Radio Live. Which of the following geographic descriptions approximately describes line A? Okay, now this may be just like total mess to people. Line A, especially if you're outside the U.S., it will make no difference. If you're outside the U.S. or Canada or Mexico, okay, not going to make any difference because it doesn't mean anything to you because you're outside of where this would even be important, okay? Line A, essentially, is a line that stretches parallel south of the U.S. and Canadian border. That's really all it is. It's just a big line that does it. That's all it does. It's a line that is important in ham radio, that we have to protect both U.S. amateurs as well as Canadian amateurs with our signals. That's really what it's about. I'll show you a map, give you an idea of exactly what line A looks like, and show you also that there's other lines besides line A. Believe it or not, we don't only get line A in ham radio in the U.S. No, it can't be that easy. We have to do a lot more than that. So let me show you what the map looks like, just to give you an idea, okay? There are many lines in ham radio in the U.S. Remember, we have Alaska as well, right? So there's line A. It goes south of the U.S.-Canadian border, but in Canada, their test will talk about line B. See, it's the same distance, but it's north of the U.S.-Canadian border. That's a line where we practice certain band plan, trying to think of the right word, my mind just went blank, where we observe certain band plan restrictions to protect each other's country. That's what we do. Then you've got line D up in the northwest corner of Canada, and line C if you are in Alaska. So if you're an Alaska operator, you've got line C to deal with, and in Canada, that would be known as line D. Don't let this confuse you. Remember the question. What really is line A? Take a look at the map. Line A is just a line parallel south of the Canadian border. And there it is visually, okay? If you remember this, you'll get it right every single time. It's pretty simple, and it'll help you, hopefully, on the ham exam for the extra. And keep in mind, it's there because we're trying to work together, both with Canadian amateurs as well as U.S. That's the whole point. We try and work together. Next question. What is an Earth station in the amateur satellite service? Now, this sounds like a really stupid question, but it's not. It really helps to identify, okay, well, what is an Earth station? An Earth station is any station within 50 kilometers of the Earth's surface. Let's see your list. Just you can stop right there. Of course, it's intended for communication with amateur stations by means of objects in space. So, an Earth station communicates with stations that are in space that are, guess where? Yep, above 50 kilometers of the Earth's surface. That's it. So, if you're an Earth station, you're within 50 kilometers of that, of that Earth's surface. And if you are satellite, you're above 50 kilometers. That's it. That's it. Remember last week when we showed the space shows, we had 3 in a row. Remember that? We talked about the line where outer space starts and the inner space or the atmosphere really exists. Okay? Believe it or not, that's 50 miles. We call that the line between inner and outer space. That's where everything begins, because that's where atmospheric drag on space vehicles slows down. That's where it stops being a problem, meaning wind going against, say, a rocket, right? Got your rocket going up real fast, okay? It has wind drag on it. You know, and it makes sense when you drive in a car. If you've ever put your hand out the window, you feel the resistance of the wind. Once you get to 50 miles up, it stops being that way because there's not much atmosphere. So the space vehicle or rocket is not getting very much at all resistance on it from the atmosphere because the atmosphere is below it, okay? So remember, 50 kilometers lower, Earth station, 50 kilometers higher, space station. You'll have it. You got this. Trust me, you could do the extra. If you're a general and you've said, doggone, I don't want to take one more test, I'm done. I'm simply done with this. I'm never going back to a test site. I'm not going to study more. I'm done. I want you to change your attitude. I want instead for you to think this way. Think this way.
Hello, boys! I'm back!
And then you pass that test, doggone it. That's what you do. That's what you do. Don't let the extra study fool you or blow you into not doing this. You can pass the test. You can. Just study. Study hard for it. If you study hard for the extra, you'll get it. If you're not good at math, they don't put a ton of math questions on it. If you're not good at electrical theory, there's not a billion questions. You're not going to get 30 questions on electrical theory. You're not. It's not meant to not be passed, okay? You can pass it, and you may fail it a couple of times, but don't let that stop you. I'm telling you, the reward you get is so worth it if you study harder for your extra. You generals, don't give up. Please give it a shot. Next questions. What frequencies are authorized to an amateur station operating under RACES rules? Remember, RACES is an emergency group of people who volunteer their time and equipment to help in times of emergency. So when you see RACES or ARIES in any question, it means essentially the same thing. They are designed to help people in emergency situations. So what frequencies do you get? This is simple. All amateur service frequencies authorized to the control operator. Okay, that means, listen carefully, if you're a technician and you can only work 10 meters on phone, not now, no, you can use 20, 40, 17, whatever you got to use to get that signal out and get people help. That's the truth. Don't let your class ever make you think that you cannot get out because it's an emergency and you don't license high enough, so you don't qualify. If it's an emergency and there's no other way out, you get out on whatever frequency you can because you're authorized to do that as a ham radio operator. All right, last ones here on the Extra on Extra Friday. If an amateur station is installed aboard a ship or aircraft, what condition must be met before the station is operated? All you have to do is go to the captain, knock on the door. Hi, Captain, it's me. Those are my dogs. We'd like to operate a ham radio aboard. I brought it in my gear. Is it okay if we do that? Now, the captain might say no, but you've got to get approval by the master, meaning the captain of the ship, or the pilot in command of the aircraft. Now, it's important you do this beforehand because then you won't get the dogs barking and nobody's going to have all that noise in the background, right?
Go!
So if you know what I mean,
Go!
right? So if you simply just ask for permission before you do it, you're going to be just fine. And what license is good? Your amateur radio license is good. Whatever your limitations are, general is exactly the same. You don't get any extra benefits because you're on a ship or an airplane using a ham radio. You still have the same rules you had as a general. You don't get extras because you're outside the Continental 48. Welcome to the show. We're at 2933. We made it. It's great to see you guys. Welcome. Let's get some comments here. First of all, Eric Haskett, want to welcome you to the show. Thank you so much. Eric says, thanks for covering the extra material. I'm currently studying for it. So perfect timing. Eric, it's a pleasure. Thank you for being here. If I can answer any questions, please let me know. I'm an extra and I study. I still look at the questions. Obviously, I do the tests all the time to put them on the channel. I'd be happy to help you whatever I can, okay? I did things differently. I used different things to help remind me in terms of, things to help me remember certain things like flip-flop, right? The way we talked about flip-flop earlier, okay? Same thing. Just did that with the flip-flop and the train. Easy to remember. Rod, Whiskey 3 miles per gallon is in the house. Welcome, Rod. Antennalizer is one of the best purchases. Yeah, and you can get like one of the nanos like for $50. You can go cheap. You can do that. They'll work a little bit. They will. They'll be good. I've got a Zoom. I've used it for 3 years, and it just keeps plugging along. Love it. Cannot recommend that one higher. So it's a little more expensive. It's about $215. Get the kind you like and you're comfortable using. Ask the store if you can hold it in your hand, see how it works, because you're going to use it a lot, especially when you're building ham radio antennas. IT guys back in the house. Welcome to the show. Hi, Larry and everyone. Hope everyone's doing great. His call sign is Kilo 6 Union, India. It's great to see you. Thanks for coming today, my friend. And Tom in Bahrain is in the house. Welcome all the way from Bahrain. His call sign is Alpha Echo Tom Papa. I'm going to call you that now. Also, Alpha 92 Golf Whiskey in Bahrain, the Middle East. Tom, thank you for being here. You always honor me. I love your emails, too. Thank you so much. Joe, you're never late. Thank you for being here. Joe says, in an extra, I cramped for 5 days and passed. His call sign, Alpha Golf 7 X-Ray Hotel. Congratulations, Joe. It's great to see you. Here is maybe the comment of the show. Jeff Buffington, welcome to the show, my friend. He says, I should have gotten my extra 20 years ago. It's so worth it. Where it helps you is within the DX portion of the 20 meter and 40 meter bands. That's where it really gives you the benefit, because European hams, for example, cannot transmit above 7.2 megahertz. That's their limit. Well, if you're a general, you can only transmit from 7.178, because remember, it's lower sideband. 3 kilohertz down from 7.178 puts you at your limit on the band plan of 7.175. So you get 7.178 to 7.2. 22 kilohertz is all you get. Now, if you're an extra, you at least get 7.128, because remember, our band plan here is 7.125. So 7.128 to 7.2, a ton of DX. There is a ton of DX in that area. And the folks that want to work North America are going to be right there. They know, because they know we can't work below 7.128. That's where they're going to be calling. Now, the exception on 40 meters is a very unique one. We went over it before. It's only in Hawaii and parts of Alaska, as well as Mexico South. That gives them 7.075 to 7.1 megahertz. Just a little slice. But they can use it for voice. And the reason why it's there for them and not for us in the continental U.S. is it's there to protect shortwave broadcasters, especially in Europe and Asia. That's why it's there. So, thank you. And Jim says the first 25 kilohertz of the CW bands. You're exactly right, Jim. Thank you. Yep. Good point. All right, we're going to talk real quick. We're going to get into CW. Now, I was going to do the show on CW today. Had it all planned. We've got it in the system. We're ready to go. But with Bob Allison retiring, I could not do that because, when I studied for my ham radio license, I worked for a long time to get it. And my goal was to pass all 3 in one day. The VEC told me it won't happen. We've never seen it done. If you get your general, you're great. I said, nope. I believe the good Lord's going to bless me. I'm going to pass all 3. I passed all 3. First thing I said, got to tell you, it's the truth. I'm not embarrassed to tell you. Philippians 4:13, I can do all things through Christ who gives me strength, and doggone it, that's on my QRZ page because I believe that. But I studied my rear end off. And in that, one of the things I've always regretted is I couldn't learn Morse code. I couldn't. It kept me off the handbands since 1977. That's no joke. Couldn't do it. So I've worked hard on trying to learn Morse code. I told the folks at MFJ about it. Thankfully, they were kind enough to send me some stuff that we're going to use on the channel. One of those is right here, and I love this. This thing has to weigh 10 pounds, and that hiss is driving me crazy. And I'm sorry, because it shouldn't be there. I have pulled all the frequency, the high-end frequencies out, and it's like still there. What's going on? Hang on. I wonder if that's going to... Yeah, it's still there. Oh, well, we tried. This is the MFJ 564. You can tell I put it into the different setting on the EV320. This is the MFJ 564. This is beautiful. No joke. And it's not that expensive. It's a great paddle that'll help you get started on Morse code. It's not that expensive. You can adjust the tension on both paddles, and it's easy to use. If I put this down, let me show you real quick. I put this down. I'm going to move to a new scene here so you can see it kind of in action a little bit. Okay, let me move it down here so you can kind of see it by the FTDX 101MP. Okay, so I put this down here. Look, I can bang away on this thing. It ain't moving. No, it's not just not moving. Look at that. So there's a lot of weight here. Look at this. It's pretty thick. This is about, I'd say, 1/2 inch thick. It's completely chrome plated. It's got some really nice little plastic paddles, similar to Vibroplex, but not the quality of. It just isn't. Okay. This can be used both on the air and to practice with. There's its spring tensioner. The bottom of it looks just like this. It's got the rubber feet, allows you to keep it in one place. This is beautiful. Look at this. Look at the shine on this thing. Now, if you want something like this, for example, to start learning code, because we're going to do that. We're going to start learning code together here. And it's going to start the next show, but I couldn't do it yet because, honestly, I just want to honor Bob Allison so much for all the incredible work that he's done in amateur radio. I'm sure you've probably seen one of Bob's reviews, right? Haven't you? I mean, Bob has done reviews on so many different types of radios for years. It's just incredible to see the work he's done. We're going to finish with one that's pretty basic, but it's really neat to be able to see what Bob has done. And I think that we'd like to honor him instead of doing the Morse code stuff. But I told you I'd show you the paddle, and this is it. If you want one, this is not that expensive. And I'm telling you, it's quality. This is one of those things you buy. If you want something to start with, you just tell them you either want in black or chrome. Black or chrome. I wanted chrome. I just wanted to look pretty. So this is $109 before tax. That's it. But it's heavy. It's going to stay down. And as we work together here on the show, learning some Morse code, we're going to do it together with a keyer. We're going to do it through a dummy load, and we're going to learn together. So if you've always wanted to learn code, we're going to put a little segment in each show. Not going to be very long, but I will tell you what Martin Jew from MFJ said. He said to learn Morse code, take 20 minutes a day. No more, no less. If you go 20 minutes a day to practice, you will pick it up quickly and you'll learn it effectively. Now, tomorrow's show is going to have a great set of videos. One on the former world champion of sending Morse code. The other one is a great way to learn Morse code, which I think you'll really like seeing. It's part of the long run of seeing a whole bunch of YouTube videos where I had to see one after the other ad. Man, oh man.
A crummy commercial?
Yeah, exactly. So I did it so we could have this on the show. And so you'll have that tomorrow. Also, please don't forget, CQ Calling DX Edition tonight, 10 p.m. Pacific time. It's going to be a great show. It really will. I hope you guys enjoy it. I really enjoy doing those shows because that's where we really stretch our legs. We get out in the Pacific, we get out to Australia and Japan, and we make great calls into the continental U.S. and Canada as well. So please be here. If you're still awake at 10 p.m. Pacific, that means 1 a.m. Eastern, we'll be live on 40 meters. Let's take a look at your comments real quick. Tom, looking forward to the code shows. You know, I'm hopeful they'll be okay. Bless your heart. Look at him sending, he's sending code. That's great. So yeah, I'm looking forward to it too. And I'm going to guarantee you this. I'm not going to teach it perfectly. I won't teach it probably the way a lot of hams would. I'm learning too. And I'm going to do the best that I can to help you, okay? I can tell you there are two ways to learn it. You can learn it the regular way or through the Farnsworth method. There's this video we'll have tomorrow on the show talks about Farnsworth. The thing I'm using, and allows you to do Farnsworth, by the way, is called Morse Mania. It's fantastic. It really is. Have it on your phone. Practice when you can. Use it when you have time. Maybe you're at the doctor's office. Perhaps you're downstairs. Maybe you're sitting through seven minutes of commercials, on TV, and you want something to do. Well, you can practice Morse code a little bit. Remember, 20 minutes a day. You give it 20 minutes, you should be good to go. John, thank you. Looking forward to it. Just started learning CW. His call sign is Kilo 7, November Delta Zulu. John, thanks again for coming. Thank you. Also, waiting to hear back from NASA. I do have an email into the Johnson Space Center about doing a show where we will have live a QSO with an astronaut on the ISS, where you can ask the questions. Now, I know there's a lag here. Okay, it's about 15 seconds from what I say to when you hear it. So I'm gonna give you plenty of time to know when that date and time is going to be. It most likely is not going to be at 21 UTC, but please come along, because if you've always wanted to ask an astronaut on the ISS a question, this is a great opportunity for you to do so. And it sounds to me as if maybe we could get this done. That'd be great. Fred, 73 to you in Washington State. Thank you for being here. Jeff, had to get 13 words per minute from my general. Still remember the old Arrl tapes from Tune in the World. Jeff. Dude, let me tell you, mate, at 77, it was a double LP, and you had to keep picking up that darn stylus over and over again to replay the letters and numbers. I finally gave up. I nearly made frisbees out of the records and says, I'm done with it.
Go!
Just wasn't going to do it. So, yeah, that was the way it was back then. And that might have been what killed me, because I found learning it this way through technology is much, much easier. Okay, we're going to finish with a show with a great tribute to Bob Allison, WB1GCM at Arrl, the guy who's done so many transceiver reviews for us over the years on YouTube. We owe him a great debt. Bob, thank you for your years of service to amateur radio. We appreciate you not only expanding the hobby, but helping us when we're thinking about buying a transceiver. The work, the time, the editing you put into making those videos have really helped a lot of people. They really have. See you tonight, 10 p.m. Pacific, for CQ Calling DX Edition. Until then, my name's Larry. My call sign's Kilo 7 Hotel November. Been my honor and privilege to have you here today. And we're going to finish with a wonderful little segment with Bob Allison, talking about a rig that he's got, because, Bob did a lot of reviews. I don't know if you know that. Bob reviewed, the Icom 7851, most expensive ham radio. It is most expensive ham radio. He also reviewed, believe it or not, one of the less expensive ones. Remember when the Yaesu FT-450D came out? Remember? Okay. And this is a rig that was, when it was new and the price had settled down, dropped to about $625. Then it kind of started going up because super heterodyne parts started going up. Well, it finished at $725 retail. Now these little buggers are selling for more than new, believe it or not. Bob talks about it. It is review for the Yaesu FT-450D. This is an old one. Enjoy the great work of Bob Allison. See you soon, everybody, and God bless you.
Hello, I'm Bob Allison, WB1GCM, Arrl test engineer here at the Arrl Laboratory. I'd like to introduce to you the new Yaesu FT-450D. It's a 100 watt HF and 6 meter transceiver, just like the FT-450, but this one has some improvements over the older model. One of them is this tuning knob is a little bit beefier. Gone is the tuning dimple that was on the 450, but the 450D has a nice rubber grip to it here. Another improvement that is these this little feet under here. Yeah, that props up the front panel, and you can see the front a little bit better. That's definitely an ergonomic improvement. A feature that's different, new on this model, is the indicators. The buttons are illuminated. As you can see, you can clearly see each of the buttons and what they say, even in a room with the lights off. Well, let's go through some of the features and buttons on the FT-450D. We have the headphone jack right there, and here's your key jack, and your microphone goes right there, and this microphone is a different mic than the FT-450 had. It has the fast button. You can go into the fast mode and tune fast, and you can go up or down and tune, and scan. We'll go down, there we go, and stop. There's the power button. The DSP button. You press that once, let's see, and you can go through the different adjustments for DSP. We have width, we have your contour, that's the filter width. Digital noise reduction can be adjusted here, and also the bandwidth of the DSP. So for instance, we can turn up the receiver a little bit. We're in the USB mode. Right there is a 3 kilohertz bandwidth. I can know, so that's the digital noise reduction. I'll go down one more. Here we go. That's a 3 kilohertz bandwidth. We'll go down to the next setting, which is 2.4. And then the other one is 1.8. So there's 3 settings for your filter for a single sideband. On CW, we'll change the mode. Let's see. I'll go down the other way. Here we go. Here's CW. We have 300 hertz, 500 hertz, and the other setting for CW is 2.4 kilohertz. So that gives you some flexibility. However, the filter bandwidth is not continuously adjustable. It has 3 specific settings, sideband and CW. The filter bandwidth for AM, by the way, is either 3, 6, or 9 kilohertz, and in the FM mode, 2.5 and 5 kilohertz. This next knob button, is the IPO. That's called the Intercept Point Optimizer. Really what that does, it throws in an attenuator a bit, but what it does, it improves third order IMD dynamic range and raises the intercept point. So if you have a really crowded band, you'll get better performance out of this transceiver by having the IPO on. We also have a attenuator here. That's a 20 dB attenuator. Noise blanketer, so that's self-explanatory, AGC. We have fast, slow, automatic, and if you hold this button down, that turns the AGC off. For those of you who like to ride the RF gain, we'll turn that back on. The band button, we can go up or down the bands. Here's the down button. There's 40 meters, back up. There's 20, all the bands, right up through 6 meters. We have 2 VFOs here, an A and a B. Yeah, and the different mode buttons up and down gives you sideband, CW, AM, FM, digital modes. Keyer turns on the keyer. The keyer speed, by the way, electronic keyer built in is 4 to 60 words per minute. And we also have the clarifier button for adjusting the clarifier up or down. That's the amount of offset right over here in this little window here. The tune button, this is your automatic antenna tuner. This adjusts for SWRs of 3 to 1 or less, or a 16.5 to 150 ohm load. That's a 3 to 1 SWR. Now you really can't ask a lot from a tuner like this. You're not going to match some crazy short whip or a very high impedance antenna. So it's really good for an antenna that's designed for the band, but maybe you're down at the band edge and the SWR is creeping up. You can hit the tune button and that'll lower it back down again, and remember where the setting is. So you can go back to that frequency, hit the tune button, and it'll automatically adjust that built-in antenna tuner. Here's the function switch. You just hold that down, and when you hit the function switch, it goes to any one of these white highlighted buttons up here. I'll demonstrate it I'll turn up the volume a little bit, and this has a voice announcement on it. It lets you know what the frequency is, and we'll just hit the function and the voice.
1, 8.
very handy for those who are sight impaired. We have other features. We have memories. We have the Vox button. We can store our voice, and it has a voice recorder built into it as well. You can actually, this radio has a beacon mode, and you can set your text up ahead of time, put it into beacon mode, and it'll automatically send that message over and over again. That's an interesting feature. Well, the first thing you notice on the back side is this large fan, and it only comes on when needed. If first turns on, it'll be quiet, but if you happen to use the rig a lot, it'll speed up and just get a little bit noisier. But that's the fan. That's a decent size. Here's the external speaker jack. Here's your CAT connection with RS-232 for radio control. This is where you can hook up to the Yaesu's VL1000 linear amplifier, but it's used for linear keying. Yaesu's optional antenna tuner can plug in here, and here's your data jack that you can go in and out with into your computer or your PC for digital modes. Hello, I'm Bob Allison, WB1GCM, Arrl test engineer here at the Arrl Laboratory. I'd like to introduce to you the new Yaesu FT-450D. It's a 100-watt HF and 6-meter transceiver, just like the FT-450, but this one has some improvements over the older model. Handy for those who are sight impaired. We have other features. We have memories. We have the Vox button. We can store our voice, and it has a voice recorder built into it as well. You can actually, this radio has a beacon mode, and you can set your text up ahead of time, put it into beacon mode, and it'll automatically send that message over and over again. That's an interesting feature. Well, the first thing you notice on the back side is this large fan, and it only comes on when needed. If first turns on, it'll be quiet, but if you happen to use the rig a lot, it'll speed up and just get a little bit noisier. But that's the fan. That's a decent size. Here's the external speaker jack. Here's your CAT connection with RS-232 for radio control. This is where you can hook up to the Yaesu's VL1000 linear amplifier, but it's used for linear keying. Yaesu's optional antenna tuner can plug in here, and here's your data jack that you can go in and out with into your computer or your PC for digital modes. For